Hello everyone and welcome! Today we're tackling a whole group of words that often cause headaches for English learners. These aren't just similar sounding pairs, but also words that deal with actions, outcomes, and different types of movement or awakening. Understanding their specific meanings and common uses is key to speaking and writing accurate English. We're going to break each one down, give you clear examples, and offer some tips to help you sort them out. Let's dive in. Let's start with the classic pair, affect and effect. They sound similar, they're spelled similarly, and they're often used in contexts that make them seem interchangeable. But they're not. The most important thing to remember about affect, A-F-F-E-C-T, is that it is almost always a verb. A verb is an action word. When something affects something else, it means it influences it, it changes it, or it has an impact on it. Think of it this way. Affect is the doing. For example, the lack of sleep affected his performance at work. Here, the lack of sleep is doing something to his performance. It's influencing it negatively. Affected is the action. Another example. Heavy rain will affect travel plans this weekend. The rain is the active agent here. It will do something to the travel plans. It will change them or make them difficult. Now let's move on to effect, E-F-F-E-C-T. Unlike affect, effect is most commonly a noun. A noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. When we talk about an effect, we are talking about the result or the consequence of an action or influence. Think of it this way. Effect is the outcome. For instance, the lack of sleep had a negative effect on his performance. Notice the difference from our previous example. Here, effect is the result of the lack of sleep. What was the outcome? A negative effect. You can often put the or a before effect when it's a noun. So if you're talking about the result or the outcome, choose effect. Now a quick note about effect as a verb. While effect is almost always a noun, it can sometimes be used as a verb. However, this is much less common and usually has a very specific meaning, to bring about or to cause something to happen, often in a formal or official way. For example, the manager hopes to effect change in the department. Here, effect means the manager hopes to bring about or cause change. He wants to implement it. For most everyday conversations and writing, you can stick to the rule. Affect is the verb, the action, and effect is the noun, the result. If you're unsure, assume affect is the verb and effect is the noun. Let's transition to another common pair that deals with upward movement, rise and raise. Rise, R-I-S-E, is an intransitive verb, meaning it doesn't take an object. Something rises by itself, it moves upward. Think of it as to go up. For example, the sun rises in the east every morning. The sun doesn't rise anything else, it just goes up. Now raise, R-A-I-S-E, is a transitive verb, meaning it always needs an object. You raise something, it means to lift something up, to increase something, or to bring something up. For example, please raise your hand if you have a question. You're lifting your hand, which is the object. So remember, something rises on its own, but you raise something else. Next, let's look at arise and arouse. They sound very similar. Arise, A-R-I-S-E, is often used in a more formal context and means to come into being, to emerge, or to happen. It's generally about a problem, a question, or a situation that appears. Like rise, it's often intransitive. For example, new challenges often arise when starting a business. The challenges come into existence. Now, arouse, A-R-O-U-S-E, is a transitive verb, meaning it needs an object. It means to awaken a feeling or an emotion, to stir up or to excite. It's often about feelings or reactions. For example, the inspiring speech aroused hope in the audience. The speech stirred up the feeling of hope. So, arise is about something appearing or happening, while arouse is about stirring up emotions or feelings in someone or something else. Finally, we have rouse, R-O-U-S-E. Rouse is a transitive verb, and it's quite close in meaning to arouse, but often implies waking someone up from sleep or inactivity or stirring them to action. It can also mean to provoke a strong feeling. While arouse often focuses on internal feelings, rouse can be more about physical awakening or inspiring action. For example, the alarm clock managed to rouse him from a deep sleep. It woke him up. Another common use. The speaker tried to rouse the crowd with his passionate words. He tried to stir them to action or enthusiasm. While arouse might be about creating a feeling like curiosity, rouse is more about shaking someone out of a state or inspiring them to do something. To quickly summarize these distinctions, remember that affect is typically the action of influencing, while effect is the result or outcome. For movement, something rises on its own, but you raise something else. When a problem or situation appears, it arises. When you stir up emotions or feelings in someone, you arouse them. And when you wake someone from sleep or stir them to action, you rouse them. Mastering these words, like any tricky vocabulary, takes time and practice. The best way to improve is to read as much as you can, pay attention to how native speakers use these words, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Each time you try to use them, you're learning. Keep practicing, keep listening, and keep reading. Thanks for watching.